Get that illegal fence down now. That's how my peaceful Saturday got blown to pieces. Karen White, the HOA president, marched straight through my marigolds like she was storming Normandy. Heels sinking into the dirt, face twisted up with the kind of authority you just can't fake. You want to talk audacity? She had it in spades, barking orders about my fence supposedly encroaching 18 inches onto her precious property, threatening me with $750 daily fines unless I tore it down within 72 hours. And the whole time, I'm standing there with mud on my boots and paint on my arms, gripping a survey report from Morrison Surveying, the most reputable firm in the county, knowing full well she was dead wrong. But what I didn't know was that Karen's own house was hiding a secret so big, my little fence drama was about to look like a lemonade stand spat. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, man, this sounds like my HOA nightmare. Yeah, I hear you. Leave a comment below and tell me, humming from my phone, hands already dirty from finally getting around to fixing that fence. The cedar posts were straight as a preacher, every nail set with the kind of satisfaction that comes from honest sweat. This land, my 2 acres of hard-earned, hard-fought-for peace in suburban Ohio, was my sanctuary. Took me 3 years of saving, a few gray hairs, and more paperwork than my college finals just to get here. Funny thing is, the day I decided to fortify my boundaries, literally, was the exact day Karen White decided to trample all over them. My parents had lost their house years back to a slick developer who got them to sign away their mineral rights, and then somehow, poof, those became surface rights. I swore then and there nobody would ever take what's mine. Every deed, every permit, every survey is filed and copied in triplicate. Call me paranoid, but I know where my property lines are, down to the inch. That's when I saw Dorothy Foster across the street. Now, Dorothy's a living neighborhood archive. Been on that porch since the Carter administration, I swear. Always watching with those little binoculars, always knowing. I gave her a wave, and she nodded back, like she'd just added something important to her mental files. Then came the click-clack of heels. I look up, and here comes this woman. Pressed blazer, tablet hugged to her chest like it's the Holy Grail, a measuring tape swinging at her side like she's packing heat. No good morning. No walk up the driveway. Nope, she beelined straight through my flower beds, crushing the marigolds I'd planted for my late wife just last week. The deliberate disrespect was something to behold. She climbed up on my planter box, elevated herself, literally, towering over me while I was on my knees at the fence post. I'm Karen White, HOA president, she announced, with the same gravitas as if she'd just been appointed supreme commander of the neighborhood. This fence is in violation of the covenants and must be removed immediately. Out came the measuring tape. Snap. Thunk. She dragged it right through the petals, left a trail of destruction, and read off. 18 inches onto my property. Mr. Thompson, you ever get so mad you just get quiet? That was me. I stood up, paint dripping down my arm, and said, ma'am, I had this surveyed by Morrison, A+ with the BBB and with the county for 2 decades. All measurements are from official records. She waved me off like I was some kid at the grown-ups table. Morrison uses outdated reference points. We had a county-wide survey update in 2019. Your fence is out of compliance. I have the documents, but they're proprietary HOA info. I don't have to show you. She clutched that tablet like a priest with a Bible. Thing is, the way she moved through my yard, avoiding my security cameras with a dancer's precision, well, it gave me chills. She'd studied my property. She knew the camera angles. She set a timer on her phone, said the $750 per day fine started now, and left with a smile that never reached her eyes. That night, sleep was out of the question. I sat up until 3, buried in paperwork. My surveys, my deed. My building permits, all matched. But at dawn, I saw the escalation. Orange spray paint. Violation, scrawled across my fence, dripping onto my boots. It was fresh, and so was the anger boiling in my gut. Jim Peterson, neighbor across the way, came over with his coffee. Saw Karen circling around 5:30 this morning, Mike. Didn't think much till I saw this mess. We both knew exactly who'd done it. I photographed everything, every angle, every timestamp, and started a notebook. That's when I found a plain note under my wiper. Check 1247 Elm, 1251 Elm, and 1289 Oak. Same pattern. Same tactics. You're not the first. No name, just a green triangle paperclip. I spent that afternoon playing detective. At 1247 Elm, Robert Davis showed me a photo of the deck Karen had forced him to tear down. Same 18 inches, same threats, same fake survey update. He'd lost $8,000, plus fines. At 1251, the house was empty. Neighbors said the family left under garden shed harassment. Every target was on Karen's side of the block. This wasn't about community rules, it was systematic bullying, and suddenly, it was obvious. Karen was clearing out witnesses to something. I was halfway through putting up a temporary fence when the HOA's lawyer, Benjamin Clark, called. "Cease all construction, Mr. Thompson. You're in violation and escalating." I almost laughed. "Your client vandalized my fence, and you're calling me the problem?" He had no idea what I was talking about. By that evening, Karen came back, this time with 2 board members. They flanked her in my driveway like I was on trial. "Mr. Thompson, you're escalating. The board will impose additional penalties." I stood, soaked and filthy, but I held my ground. I have legal surveys. I have witnesses. And I have evidence. Karen's poker face cracked. She wasn't expecting resistance. "We'll file a complaint," she said, but she retreated quick, looking rattled. So what was she hiding? The answer showed up at 5:30 the next morning. Karen loading boxes labeled county records and survey docs into her SUV, driving to a storage unit on the edge of town. I snapped photos, followed at a distance. Felt like I was in a B-grade crime thriller, but the tension was all too real. She moved those boxes like someone hiding a body, checking over her shoulder, nervous as a cat. Armed with photos, I went to the county office, laid everything out for the clerk, Jennifer Wright. "Any survey updates for Maple Street, 2019? I asked. She shook her head, printed out a certificate. No survey updates since 1987. Everything Karen claimed was a lie. Jennifer even found that someone, Karen, had requested the old documents back in March. No updates, just copies of the originals. I canvassed my street, and the stories were always the same. Families harassed, forced out, bullied with official-looking paperwork and daily fines. Karen wasn't enforcing rules, she was running an intimidation racket, and every property she targeted faced her own home. She was building a buffer zone, pushing out anyone who might notice something off about her property. That night, I caught her red-handed with a crowbar, sneaking with an unknown man to move the survey stakes. I hit the headlights, camera rolling. The man bolted. Karen froze, crowbar in hand, sputtering that I was stalking her, threatening to call the cops. I just smiled, held up the time-stamped photos. "Please do call them. I'd love to discuss tampering with legal markers." "That's a felony." She knew it. Next morning, 3 goons showed up, hired muscle, hanging around my property, watching my every move. Karen sat on her porch with binoculars, running the operation. Like a mob boss. It was no longer subtle. Then, a package appeared on my porch. Inside, original permits, financial records, drone photos of her house. The bombshell, her garage and master bedroom, were built a full 8 feet onto my land. Not 18 inches, 8 feet. The records showed she was drowning in debt, needed to sell, but couldn't because of the illegal additions. I mapped it all, chalking out every stolen inch. Karen caught me, stormed across the street, finger in my chest, voice trembling with rage. "You think you're so smart? I'll destroy you and your family." Jim Peterson started recording, neighbors gathered. The mask was off. She'd gone from polished president to unhinged bully. The next HOA meeting was a circus. 60 neighbors crammed into a tiny room. Karen strutted in with her lawyer, slick presentation ready, painting me as a rogue homeowner. But when I pulled up the drone photos, county records, and all the forged documents, the mood shifted fast. Gasps, murmurs, then dead silence as the evidence piled up. That's when Dorothy Foster, quiet, sharp-eyed Dorothy, stood up. Turns out, Dorothy wasn't just a neighbor. She was Judge Dorothy Foster, retired, legendary for busting property fraud. And she'd been watching Karen for years. She revealed records, phone logs, financials. Karen had paid former employees of a shady surveying firm to forge all her documents. The whole updated survey scam had played out in 2 other neighborhoods. Karen was $180,000 in debt, desperately trying to cover her tracks. Dorothy called the district attorney right there in front of the crowd as Karen melted down, screaming entrapment, blaming everyone, trying to run for the door. Even her own lawyer quit on the spot. The board voted her out as president on the spot. The cops came. Karen was charged with fraud, forgery, and harassment. The DA's office took every scrap of evidence, and the four families sheet. Victimized got restitution. In court, Karen had to sell the stolen portions of her house to me at market value. Talk about poetic justice. Her fake fines were refunded with interest. And the community voted in new bylaws so no HOA president could ever pull this again. Dorothy became our legal advisor. Jim Peterson took over as president, and the concerns and coffee meetings turned our neighborhood from a war zone back into an actual community. Karen? She lost her law license, her reputation, and had to downgrade to a tiny apartment, court-ordered community service, and public apology included. The rest of us finally felt safe again. That fence she tried to tear down still stands, exactly where it belongs. Now legally protected, new deck, new landscaping, and a new oak tree right where my marigolds used to be, planted as a reminder that bullies only win if you let them. You know, sometimes justice doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with neighbors standing together, one person willing to fight back, and a little bit of courage when it matters. That's what I learned. Property rights only matter if you have the guts to defend them. And real community? It's built by people who look out for each other, not by bullies who hide behind fake authority. So, what do you think? Did justice get served? Or did Karen get off easy? Drop your thoughts below. Ever had to fight back against an HOA, a bully, or someone in power? Tell your story. Because at the end of the day, the only way the good folks win is by refusing to stay silent.